Alright, hi guys, welcome back to my channel, welcome back to another video. So basically in today's video we're going to be talking about how to get good marks or basically pass the paper 1 exam for CXC basically. So you know that the paper 1 has the MCQ component and just some tips on how you can get full marks on that. Anyways, if you're interested, go ahead and like, comment, share, and subscribe. And let's get into today's video. Okay, so the first thing that you need to know in approaching the paper 1 is that the approach that you took for paper 2, you cannot take it for paper 1, at least not all of it. So yes, you still need to study all of the syllabus and you still need to prepare and ensure so you cover most of the topics and all that stuff. But at the same time, it's important that you know that sometimes paper 1's questions do repeat. Sometimes they repeat, and yeah. So that's the key thing that I want to talk about in this video. So CXC has a job bank of questions and they sometimes do repeat, but some people usually ask, do I do from 2026? Should I do from 2024 2026? Should I do from this to that? The thing about it is that that job bank, that not job bank, that question bank, why I'm keeping it as a job bank, that question bank is so broad that what should I say? No, there's no way you can just do one year or 2 years and think that all of those questions from those 2 years are gonna just come back on this paper. Why would CXC do that? That doesn't make sense. So that's the thing that you need to know about it. Obviously the number one thing I will say is study because it's still, if you did CSEC biology paper 2 or CSEC HSP paper 2 already, is the same subject I go come on the paper 1 and it's MCQ. No, I think it was last year CXC kind of moved more towards doing the paper 1s on a computer, doing it online. So you have to ensure that your teacher exposed you, or basically ensure that they told you about that already. I'm not sure if it's all subjects or not, but most subjects they're doing the paper 1s on a computer, at least if your school has that and all that stuff. But yeah, so point is, back in the day they used to do the MCQ shading and all that stuff, but last year they did the paper 1s on a computer. But what I want to say now is how to prepare. So the strategy that most people have been using, and I used this when I did CXC, was watch past paper videos, because man, the paper 2, which is worth the most marks, you already do it already, right? So but that means you actually study. We can do that paper 2. So your approach now is that since you've already studied, go and revise and go through local topics, and then go watch past paper videos. Because what I learned then from CXC days and even now in university, is that if you don't have a strategy to the exam, you can study and still fail the exam. Yes, you heard that right. You can study and still fail the exam because of the strategy or the focus or the wording or the setup of the exam. So the exam, you might literally memorize every definition and you know the stuff. And you can write it on a paper too. But when on a paper want to come and they give you the options and all of them sound the same to you, you cannot, right? You know the general meaning and everything. But if you're not exposed, you're not used to the questions being asked like that, you're gonna panic. You're gonna choose the wrong answer regardless of you studying. This does happen to be before in exams where I study. If you give me, if you write the definition and do everything, we can do that. If you give me MCQ, limited options where it's only a small, tiny difference between each, it's easier to mess up like that. So some people underestimate paper 1s and think that, oh, but at least when I've written on, you can still mess up. The good thing is that when you talk about probability, there's no way you can get everything. If you guess everything on that paper 1, which is a 60 question, if we go by probability, you're not going to get everything wrong. If you ever guess everything, if you guess everything completely randomly, you're not going to get everything wrong. Just know that. But still, don't try that. Do not try that. So just because you guess everything and get a couple right, majority will more than likely still be wrong because you had no strategy, never, no way out of. But yeah. Point is that what was your videos, you need to know how to approach this paper one exam versus that we did do before paper two. Paper two, you could write and explain yourself, but paper one, when they give you the options, you have to pick. And that is where you need to watch the past paper videos on YouTube. Also, people watch those videos on YouTube because some teachers give the explanations. They actually tell you why this is the answer. And so when you go there, you cannot get exposed to the type of questions, and sometimes some of us, we learn best when somebody else is reading or talking, basically. So some of us, we need that. We need to hear somebody going through the questions one by one, regardless of whether or not that particular question comes back on the exam. But still, when you watch those videos and see how the teachers break down each question and say, okay, it's not A because of this, it's not B because of this, it's not C and not D. And guess what? Even if you don't get the exact question, you might get a question that is basically asking the same thing. The same answer that you get in that video, it answers the same thing. So you have to use a strategy going into the exam. Expose yourself to the paper ones. See what they're like. Some people can't print, but with the printing, if at this rate, when you know where I print it because it's already kind of late. You know what I'm saying? It's already May, June, but still, watch past videos. Watch past videos on YouTube. There's CXC past there are different CXC papers on all over the internet. So you can just go look for those, check those out. But what I'm trying to push you towards is watch the videos on YouTube specifically so you can see the answer. Because if you really know nothing, let's just say you never do nothing on the paper too. Let me just say for example purposes. Let's just say you never do nothing on the paper too of sense. Or let's just say half of the paper two that you did is correct. No, I'm not gonna explain it in this video, but you know how the grading thing works already. And there's no set bar to say you pass, fail. Yeah, somebody can pass this year with a grade, and then next year somebody get that same grade and fail or get grade 4 or whatever. But you get the point. But still, point is have a strategy. Obviously review some of the stuff then, but please look at how the paper ones are written. Look at the questions. Even time yourself. If you want to go through a little practice question, put 1 hour 15 minutes on your phone and go through the question and just print it, shade it, do it online, and just sit down for that 1 hour 15 minutes and see if you can do all the questions. And that will help you better with time management in the exam. And just to know, when you're in the exam too, always keep track of the time. So most times the invigilators will say you have 30 minutes left, 15 minutes left. They usually say that. So it's not like you're completely panicking, right? So that's that. Just ensure that you never leave anything blank. MCQ is nothing to leave anything blank. And as I said before, as just with probability alone, if you guess every single question, you still won't get every single thing wrong. I'm not saying you're going to get a high mark, but you're still not going to get everything wrong if you ever guess every single answer completely randomly. You're not gonna get a high mark, but you're not gonna get everything wrong either. But the point is that if you don't know a question, there's no reason why you should leave it blank, and it's MCQ. It's 50% chance you choose well, whatever. Still, it might right, it might wrong. You get what I mean? It might right, it might wrong. But how about you give yourself the chance to be right? If you left it blank and move on, then how that makes sense? You basically give up and you said, me not get a mark. Some people, them choose it completely randomly, and then when they come out of the exam, they say, oh, that was the answer, and them get a mark. Point is that when you're with a strategy, ensure that you know how the questions are asked. Look at past papers and see how the questions are set up, how they ask the questions. Look at past papers for that. Going into the exam, ensure that you know time management is important. If you're in the exam and you hear the invigilator say 15 minutes left and you not reach past question, let's just say the invigilator say 15 minutes left and you still don't reach question 30, which is half of the paper, and you have 50 minutes left, what I tell you if you do, you need to move fast. Do not do the lay and sit down one by one and you probably book on a question how long I can move. and a lay there, and then by the time the 50 minutes up, you want to reach question 35. What about the others where you not answer? Listen to me. I always well, even me when me in an exam, you see, if me here so the time I done and me not reach far, me do what me do is, so if me get 15 minutes here, me go do the first five, me go do a fast reading, pick answer. Like the first answer me think right, pick me na lay. Cause me not even reach question 30 and me have 15 minutes left. My goal is to have an answer for everything at the end of the day. So I scan the question, share, scan the question. If me here say 10 minutes left, me still do it. If me here say 5 minutes left, me shade in everything random for the rest of the questions then. But point is that don't leave no blank. Even if time I run out pan, you shade something. Even if you shade, it is I say shade randomly, at least one must write in it. At least one must write in it. And again, I don't know how the computer thing work. If you can, I mean, I think they might allow you to double shade or whatever. But back in when you used to do the paper one, or if your exam still does the paper one, you cannot. If you put two answers, then you not get the mark at all. So just things like that to be wary of. Don't, let me say, expose yourself to past papers, the paper ones. The same strategy you use for paper two won't work for paper one because the questions are already structured for you and the answers are already there. And it can confuse you if you're not used to it or you not get much practice with it. Time management when you're going to exam, important. Practice yourself, time yourself when you do it or whatever you yard, and yeah. But point is that prepare. Expose yourself to past papers, be confident. If time run out, shade something, answer everything, left nothing blank. As I said before, if you shade 10 questions, at least one must write. So don't just stop at 35 and everything else. Whether you could have get it right or wrong, you just left it. Don't do that. Point is that go in the exam, be confident, do your best. Yeah, but anyways guys, this is the end of this video. Go ahead and like, comment, share, and subscribe. And anyways guys, that's the end of this video, and bye guys.